Next level.
As a multiple nine-figure entrepreneur, what was the best financial advice that you ever received?
This is not going to be popular to a lot of people. Always have cash. Always have cash. I remember one time I got a call. A guy says he needs $540,000. He had 2 Wayne Gretzky cards. I said, what kind of cards are they? He says, these are the main cards of Wayne Gretzky, PSA 10 OPG and Topps. I said, I'll give you $540, but I want to pick up the cards in 24 hours. I'm going to send somebody. I need you to meet me at PSA's headquarters in Orange County. Tikron, who happens to be here, he flies out to LA. Yeah, you flew out. You go meet him, picks up the cards, puts it in a new case, brings it back. He's in the airport with $500,000 in his pocket. That card we sold a year and a half later was a Guinness Book of World Record for $2.2 million. This property we're on right now, the guy that owned this bought it for $25 million in 2018, put $7 million of finishes in this. This was announced that's going on the public market for an auction. 4,400 people were interested in this property. 131 signed an NDA. And then there is the day that everybody's bidding. You have to put $1 million to compete. If you don't, you're not competing. The day the auction comes, everyone's sitting there in Zoom, 40, 50 people raising hands, doing the whole thing. We ended up buying this for $25.2 million cash. We wired the money a week later. We bought the property. This is probably a $40, $50 million property. Having cash allows you to pick things up when they're for sale. Unfortunately, not having cash, when the market kind of goes bad, a lot of people don't make it.
You don't want money. Money makes you lazy. Money gives you this false sense of, okay, you're going to be all right because you saved 3 months of money. Hey, stay liquid, save your money, plan for retirement, have 3 months savings accounts. But all these are myths. These are not things that are good for people. Dave Ramsey has no clue. He's talking to people about barely getting by. I'm talking to an audience that wants to get rich.
Just trying to really make
something big, like Robert Smith rich. He's the wealthiest black man in America. Mm-hmm. Or Don Peoples, my friend who's worth a couple $2 billion in playing in the real estate game. I want to get to the top of the food chain where I get to start making rules. He who has the goal makes the rules. And so I don't want a little money. I don't want a retirement account. I don't want my house paid for. I don't care about any of that stuff. I want to get rich.
Here's the thing. Money is weird. It activates portions of the brain. Let me give you an example, okay? In the internet world, including at Ramsey Solutions, when we put something on a website, the harder it is for you to buy something, the less likely you are to buy it. You won't follow through on the transaction. It's called friction in the internet world. If you got to stand in line at a store, some people just put the thing down and walk out of the store. That's friction. The harder it is to buy something, the less you buy. That's thing one you need to remember. Now, there is such a thing as emotional friction. Now, what I mean by that is this. In your mind right now, or physically if you want to, I'm going to do it. Take your wallet out, if you have one. This is my wallet. I have a money clip I carry in my front pocket with $100 bills. So there's a $100 bill, right? Lay that $100 bill in front of you with Uncle Benjamin Franklin's eyes piercing into your soul. Okay? Put beside that your debit card, right? Put your debit card beside it or your credit card beside it. Now, there's a couple things that happen. When you spend cash, it hurts. It creates emotional friction. It activates the pain centers of the brain, actually. MIT did a study with MRIs, and they were studying consumer behavior. And when the consumer spends cash, it activates the pain centers of the brain. When you make the exact same transaction with plastic, it does not activate the pain centers of the brain. You don't feel it. The study's showing this. The average purchase is 12 to 18% more that you will spend. In a fast food setting using plastic, you will spend 70% more. In a vending machine, in the hotel lobby, you will spend 170% more. Double, triple the transactions when you use plastic. Yeah, I'll take chips and a Coke and a candy bar, right? But when you're actually if you had to feed that dollar in that thing, right? You actually feel that and you spend way less. So all of that is emotional friction. You need to be aware of that. The other thing that happens is this. Think about this. Here's what's interesting. You ever, when you were a kid, if you're an old guy like me, you might have traded marbles with your friend. You had a marble and you trade something. You ever trade something with someone? You give them something, they give you something. There's an exchange. You hand them something, they hand you something. See, that's what happens when you pay with cash. You hand them green presidents' faces, they give you the item. Think about what happens with plastic. You give them a piece of plastic, they give you your plastic back, and they give you the item. Isn't it subtle that there was no exchange that occurred? You didn't make a trade. You got your plastic back and the item. Because you would never leave the transaction without your own credit card or your own debit card with you, right? But think about how subtle that is visually and how that activates the brain. So, all of that to say that when you spend cash, you're more aware of your spending. Here's an example. You go out to eat. When you're paying cash and you lay a $100 bill in that little black tray, Uncle Ben's coffin, you know it's his coffin because he ain't coming back. You just killed the old boy off. He's gone, right? Yep, that little black tray goes away. You don't ever see Uncle Ben again. He's gone. Benjamin Franklin is out of here. But when you send that plastic out, guess what comes back? The plastic. And you have a tendency to spend more on alcohol, more on desserts, and pick up the other person's tab at the restaurant when you are paying with plastic than when you're paying with cash. This is why McDonald's was the first one all these years ago in the fast food business to start taking plastic. When I first started this show 25 years ago, nobody took plastic at all in fast food. And they didn't take it in the grocery store either. You wrote a check or you paid cash in fast foods 25 years ago. Or you paid cash. You wrote a check or you paid cash. And because it was scary to people to think that people might actually run up debt buying groceries or run up debt buying food at a fast food place. But McDonald's changed all of that. And it wasn't long after McDonald's did a big study on behavior. And they found that you spend 78% more. You know, I'll supersize that. I'll put fries with that, and I'll pay for his too, and give me the apple pie when it's on plastic. When it's cash, it's like dollar menu, baby. Changes everything. When you spend with cash, it changes the transaction. Now, all of that is important because think about it. Think about stuff like Apple Pay with your phone. See, that's even worse because you're not even handing them a form of payment. You're just waving a wand. Your phone. You're like freaking Harry Potter buying stuff here. You just waved a wand and got free stuff. That's Apple Pay. Even less emotional friction. These different methodologies with pay, the less emotional friction there is, the more you're going to spend. Now, none of this is evil. It's not like that's the mark of the beast. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I am saying is if you're going to get control of your money, you have to understand what is being done to you by these companies. They are managing your behavior. So when you spend cash, it changes your behavior function. So especially when someone first starts doing a budget and trying to get out of debt and work the baby steps, I'll put you on a bunch of cash at that point. A bunch of cash.